and a very good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 10th session on the series of webinar of ABC of Cybersecurity, powered by CXO Junction in association with iValue InfoSolutions. Today, we are having a solution partner, Cloudflare, and we will be covering the topic everywhere security, protecting application, employees, and networks, for which we are having Deepali Patil, who is the Partner Solutions Engineer, India and SAARC. After then, we will be having an amazing fireside chat between Mr. Ayush Verma, who is the Head Solutions Engineering, SAARC Southeast Asia and Korea at Cloudflare, and Mohinee Singh, who is the co-founder at CXO Junction. And not forgetting the bumper giveaways at this ABC of Cybersecurity session. That is, one lucky winner who attends a maximum session will get a chance to win, as you all know, a sleek, stylish Royal Enfield motorcycle. And there will be 3 lucky winner who will be winning the Cyberfrat Gold membership, which is worth approximately 3 lakhs based on the Kahoot quiz, and 1 lucky winner from the previous session who have commented on the LinkedIn post, LinkedIn learnings of the previous session, will be winning a OnePlus phone on the Wheel of Fortune today. So make sure that you attend the session attentively, and then you comment on the LinkedIn post of today's session, and you might get a chance to win OnePlus in the next session. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this amazing session. By the way, to introduce our partner, iValue. So iValue InfoSolutions is a premium technology, services, and solution aggregator that adopts a consulting approach for enterprise digital transformation around application lifecycle management to address emerging business needs in a hybrid multi-cloud model covering CAPEX and OPEX needs. iValue has proud to have served approximate around and over 6,000 plus customers across industry verticals through 900 plus partners and direct alliances with 65 best breed technology OEMs. And the solution partner of our today webinar is Cloudflare. So introducing Cloudflare. So Cloudflare is the leading connectivity cloud company. It empowers organizations to make their employees' application and network faster and more secure everywhere while reducing complexity and cost. Cloudflare's connectivity cloud delivers the most full-featured unified platform of cloud-native products and developer tools, so any organization can gain the control they need to work, develop, and accelerate their business. By the way, to introduce myself, my name is Iqbal Qureshi. I'm a senior manager operations at CXO Junction. So talking about CXO Junction, so CXO Junction is a platform for enterprise leader to come and discuss the evolving scene of cybersecurity and risk management. In order to facilitate these discussions, we have partnered with multiple subject matter experts. Likewise, today we have partnered with iValue to deliver this ABC of Cybersecurity session. We are proud to announce that we have built our we are expanding our CXO's community in Middle East. Just 3 days ago, we have successfully conducted a physical meetup in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and a lot of technical topic discussion and networking happened over there. Our aim is to conduct more value gatherings in all the other part of the Middle East too, which can benefit all of you all as the community members. And I would now like to hand over the stage to Deepali Patil from Cloudflare to take it forward and throw the light on the topic. Over to you, Deepali.
Yeah, thank you so much, Iqbal. I just want to make sure I'm audible and visible to the audience.
Yes, you are clearly audible, Deepali.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So, hi everyone, I'm Deepali. As Iqbal mentioned, I'm a partner SE with Cloudflare. I am very excited to be talking about Cloudflare. And then, basically I would want to talk about the challenges that we are actually seeing in the industry with the changes that are happening, and then how can Cloudflare actually help some of the challenges that we are facing. So without further ado, I will quickly bring up my screen. Just let me know when you can actually see my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, definitely. Your screen is
okay. Great. Thank you so much. Right. So why are we here today? Right. So we want to talk about everywhere security. What do you mean by everywhere security? Why even that conversation? Right. So everything in the world kind of just starts off with the challenges, right? And then we try and look at how can we solve those challenges. So as an organization, what are all the challenges that we are actually seeing at the C-suite level, right? So there are challenges that we are talking at increasing operational bills. So basically managing the multi-cloud environment with the innovation that we are doing. People are working from home. There are quite a lot of challenges, managing the vendors that are there at a suite level, right? And then also addition to that, there is an infrastructure called optimally utilizing all the resources from a server to an employee, everything, right? So that is when one can actually take a route of innovation towards it, right? So let's not look it into this as a challenges per se. So organizations have started looking at this as an opportunity to, save the costs. So when we talk about increasing operational cost, what do we think about? How can I save the costs that are in there, right? So infrastructure cost. So when I'm saving the cost, along with that, I'm actually trying to be innovative and solve the technological problems that are there. And then as an organization, we are moving in a direction of making a greater revenue, right? You make progress financially, you make progress technologically, and all the aspect of it, right? So in this opportunity, basically, I can't kind of, okay. Yeah, so in this direction, basically to make a financial impact by operational and being innovative, one of the initiative as an organization that they started looking at was a digital innovation, right? So what is the digital innovation that we are talking about? In that, I'll probably pick one or two examples of it. Secure work, hybrid workforce, right? So now organizations just not have people working from office, gone are those days. Now we have a hybrid workforce, right? What is happening with that? We have people, employees working across the globe. So security for an organization becomes a very important aspect because data is in motion, right? So how are we actually securing those, people, those who are there in office, people, those who are actually working from home, and all of that, right? Considering employee movement and the data movement, all of that becomes, right? And then controlling the operational costs per se, right? So we started solving these problems bits and pieces, like for example, securing an employee. What do I have to do? Secure, giving a VPN kind of a solution at this phase, right? And then I have an applications that are internal and external. How do I try to solve those problems per se, right? So solving those problems, we kind of started looking at, solutions in bits and pieces, and then that actually led us into multiple vendor sprawls, right? So along with solving that problem is one problem solution that we tried and looked into, but then that also has a challenge associated with it, right? Addition to that, migrating a managed clouds. So that is, now the data is not there like a traditional environment just in the on-prem, right? Because I want to innovate at a scale, so I want to adapt to the technology, so I got to adapt to the multiple clouds, right? Some clouds have a certain feature, some clouds has a certain feature. Based on a technical need, so we started adopting a multiple clouds to solve the technical debt as such as an organization that we had, right? So what does this actually led us into? So basically, most of the organization started using codeless development tool with the AI enhancements, and all of that is happening, right? And then what we are seeing as a trend is 207% increase in organization with data across 3 major public clouds, right? So the applications are nowhere just in the on-prem, but also in a multiple clouds like Azure, GCP, where, or it could be anything for that matter, right? So applications are distributed, users are distributed, which is office, and also as well as the home people, those who are active, and then third party vendor as an organization. And we have different network environments, multiple offices that are in there, right? We have SaaS applications that are coming in. We have, multiple branch offices with that, multiple network connectivities that we are actually trying to, look at, right? So with this, what has started happening is organizations started to solve these problems individually, right? So if I want to, connect an enterprise network to one to another, then I go for a particular vendor and then probably take a connectivity from them, right? If I want to host a application in AWS or a GCP, I go with that particular vendor per se. But then how do I secure those applications, right? So then I started looking at AWS security or a GCP security, and then SaaS from a different other vendor. So then what is actually happening by looking at all of this is we are solving the problems in bits and pieces, but then are we looking at it holistically as a solution, right? So do I have one place where I get, for a C-suite, that is what is actually required, right? One place where I get a visibility into everything, will be able to take an action on everything in a single dashboard or whatever, right? So that is exactly with connectivity cloud that we are talking about, irrespective of public clouds that as an organizations that have. So the traditional to a modern business journey, that is what we try doing, right? So what are we telling employees? Public clouds, internet, networks, all of it, how am I making it better workforce environment, being a performance efficient, being a security efficient, and then will be able to innovate at the scales. If I have my basics right with all of this, will I be faster in the journey of an innovation that I'm trying to make? The answer is yes, right? So that is why we are telling one solution which will connect the user to a multiple environment where it might have multiple connectivity that you might have, or a SaaS application that would be in there, or offices or whatever it is, right? Users, applications, and networks that are in there, right? So, and then along with it, giving experience at a codeless and developer kind of a platform where innovation can also happen at a rapid rate, right? And that is what we are telling connectivity cloud will actually help us do, right? So then we understood what connectivity cloud is, and then how will Cloudflare actually help us fit it into those modernized business use cases, right? So I'll take a couple of use cases for them. I'll not go through each and every use cases, but then I'll pick one or two and then we'll see, right? So we are talking about multi-cloud and hybrid environment, right? So when we talk about a cloud, performance becomes, security becomes a challenge. Network also comes as an aspect, right? So that is where Cloudflare's connectivity with the platform capability that we have, that is helping us being very performance efficient with across the globe, what a presence of points that we have, that is helping us build that connective network and also secure that network, because we have a visibility into everything, right? And then hybrid work environment, multi-cloud applications are there. So applications are just not web applications, APIs are there, multiple IoT devices and all of that are involved into this, right? So application security and API security predominantly becomes a very aspect of it to look at securing them, right? And secure access workforce, why do we need it, right? So basically, one of the major threat vectors about for employees as of today, the attacks are happening, 80 to 90% of the attack for organization are happening via email, just not via to the end, via to the end applications per se. But then we are seeing that trend happening quite a lot. It could be a phishing, business email compromises, and all of that, right? That is why we are telling zero trust. Do not trust anyone by default, right? Whenever an employee, you see a request coming in from an employee, validate the user, whosoever is trying to, making a request to be valid, and then, allow them to access a private application or a cloud or an email or a web application, whatever that is, right? So that is when secure access for the workforce for an organization, because employees are everywhere, right? So we got to validate whom we are actually getting connected to, right? And then connectivity, multiple branch offices sitting across, different regions. How are we efficiently connecting those networks per se, right? That is why we are telling we need a secure access service edge as a concept, where we are able to connect the networks and secure those networks that are connected, right? We are talking about WAN as a service, as a solution, firewall as a service. WAN actually helps us connect. Firewall actually helps us secure the connectivity that we are building, right? And then delivering AI and innovative apps at a scale. So now we have moved into a direction of AI. There are a lot of new technologies that are coming in and all of that, right? So developers want to have a better control in the way they want to make a real-time changes for applications, the way users would want to see. So for the innovation, the full stack application becomes an important aspect of it, and that is what will help us get to from a developer angle. And along with that, video and images becomes a very important elements of an application that are in there, right? So in this, we are looking at an angle, how can we innovatively deliver the solutions that are needed, and giving a video and image optimization kind of a solution that we are trying to look at, right? So all of this, from an hybrid environment to a workforce to an AI, and then all of this built into one platform, which will simplify the compliance, consolidate, and innovation at the rapid scale, right? So we are taking a journey of modernization. Let's take it together to make it a point that we are solving the challenges that we are getting in, right? So how is Cloudflare connectivity is actually going to help us in this direction, right? So we are talking in the direction of, we spoke about users, we spoke about networks, we spoke about developer platform and all of that, right? So we categorically saying that simple and secure access. We will be able to secure the employees, which is, we will keep it simple. We do not trust anyone and let us know whom to allow in that direction, right? So we build the rules accordingly and let anyone, from the employee, to be able to sort of help that, right? And network side of the segment, which is in terms of, it could be a connectivity, it could be an application or an infrastructure. With the capability of the platform we are making it performance driven, and because we have the visibility into everything, we are securing it in a way that no one else could actually break that thing for all together, right? And then building the agile system, connecting to the AI, as I was talking about, innovation is the way to go ahead for organization, right? And that is where our agile developer platform will sort of help us get to that with the simplified, unified interface that is available. All of this put together, put on a Cloudflare global platform with the machine learning technologies, because we are getting so much visibility into this. We are building our threat intel on a day-to-day basis. Network intelligence is getting built because we have that capability as an organization, right? So we are saying, let's work together. Let's deliver the applications that are, securely and faster, and let's build the innovation together, right? That's what, with the Cloudflare innovating cloud that we are talking about. Okay, so we all looked at, what is the portfolio, in terms of what comes as a Cloudflare connectivity. So what is that network capability? Deepali has been talking about network connectivity and how is that presence coming up, right? So if we look at the visibility or the architecture is at a massive scale for Cloudflare, right? If I have to just put it into one sentence, so about 20% of the web traffic actually goes through Cloudflare as of today. So we have a visibility to 100 billion daily threats blocked on our platform with the, with all the threat intel, visibility of the traffic, innovation that we are trying to do, which is actually helping us give that platform and secure those platforms together, right? And then what does performance mean for us? What are we saying is with the platform capability, with the Anycast architecture that we have built an organization over the decades, 95% of internet users are within 50 milliseconds away from any Cloudflare, a POP that is available for them, right? And then we are also giving an uptime of 100% SLA for in terms of the connectivity. And that is possible with the global presence and the Anycast technology that we have built as an organization together, right? And this is only possible because of the traffic that is going or flowing through, Cloudflare as a network, right? So then let's take a quick glimpse of when we are saying a global network, we have presence across multiple places and all of that, right? Where all do we have a presence and how does it signifies to all the users that we are talking around, right? So we have about 300 plus countries where we, including, mainland China as a region, where this is actually for us as a global presence, right? And 12,500 network interconnects. So that means every major ISP, every cloud provider, you will actually see us being present in there. With this presence of 312,500 connects, we are able to deliver 209 terabits per second as a network on a daily basis, right? And then what does it mean for a users? 95% of the users are away from 50 milliseconds. So as closer to the user as possible, and that is what we are actually with a global scale that we are trying to look at. Okay, so further ado, so with unified architecture from employee security, protecting application, protecting networks with the developer network, all of that, with the intelligence global platform that we are able to, cater to all the problems for an organizations that are there, right? Let's look at, because though we might have ends of solutions and all of that, what does it mean for the end customer at the end of the day, right? They would want to save the cost. How are we actually helping them save the cost in that direction, right? So if a customer perspective, if I try to look at it, right, for a zero trust side of the security, which we spoke about, employee security from a gateway to an access to a CASB to a DLP solutions, from a connectivity, securing the connectivity and all of that, to applications, how looking at a multiple vendors from a CDN, from an application security, API security, and all of that, right? So this is where we are currently, right? Having a multiple vendor, and that is the problem that we are as an organizations are trying to solve. And this is the future state that we are talking about Cloudflare. One vendor will help us do multiple things you're doing for organizations, solving the problem in a bits and pieces. We will help you do, and with the lesser cost. And so when we say a lesser cost, for an example, if you are using a bits and pieces of a solution as of today, you got to train your resources on specific technology, right? If you are using an application security from AWS, we got to train the people in that angle. If we are using a zero trust solution from some other vendor, we got to train people on those technologies, right? So we are creating that dependency in terms of learning the technology and multiple vendors, right? So So in this case, what are we saying is you got to, know how Cloudflare works, being a cloud and a SASE platform altogether. Rather than managing everything, let's just do one place, solve everything. And then, with the platform is an added advantage that we have, right? This is helping us reduce the cost for 30%. One of the challenge that we spoke about initially was how do I reduce the cost so I can put that cost into an innovation that is possible, and then I move towards the journey of an organization wherever I want to achieve, right? And this is where the future of the connectivity cloud that we are talking about, right? So now who are all these vendors that we are talking about in all the segments that we spoke about in bits and pieces? Applications, we see Empower, Akamai, all these vendors that are coming into performance and security of the applications, right? When we talk about zero trust security aspect of it, we see Cisco, Zscaler, Palo Alto, those are the vendors that we are talking about. And then network, which is a layer 3, layer 4 kind of a protection. This is where we see Radware, Cisco, AT&T playing a role, right? And then developer, which is innovation at the scale, being able to execute the code in a real time, being able to make those decisions in a real time, right? That is where Fastly, AWS, Lambda, sorts of players are trying to build. So what are we saying, right? We will do all the vendors consolidately together, easy to use UI that is available. It's, I'll actually take you through an API security as a bit of a demo just to show you how easy it is to go through our portal and understand the functionality that is there. We don't want to make a complex, system complex so that it becomes, frustrating for us to take certain decisions in there, right? And then that is why we are telling, we'll give you visibility, we'll give you performance, we'll give you security that is needed for you in a single dashboard, single platform, right? Okay, I think this slide we kind of touch based, just to again touch base on that, zero trust, application and infrastructure, performance driven, and developer platform. And these are the major pillars that will help secure employees, applications, network. So what do we see in the internet? There are applications that are hosted on public, private clouds and all of that. Who are actually accessing those applications? Users are accessing those applications, right? When we say users are actually, how is the user and applications connected today, right? Via a pipe. And what is that pipe called? That's called network. So users and applications are connected via network. And when we are telling everywhere security, this is exactly what we are saying from a user who is trying to access an application to an applications where it is actually present, and to the network via which the request or the response is flowing. Everywhere performance and security needs to be there, and that is the need as of today for organizations who are looking at innovation, the scale they want to do. They want to reduce the cost for their organizations, and that is what exactly connectivity cloud is helping us do. And that is what we are telling, everywhere security is, every single point it actually goes through, data flows through, there has to be a security component to this, right? And all of this is possible via AI, data threat intel that is possible, and the global platform that we have, which is connecting to our dashboard with one visibility of everything that is going around. And this is exactly when we say, everywhere security means, right? So now we understood the portfolio, we understood what everywhere security means, how Cloudflare is actually helping. So what does it really means as a business outcome for customers, right? 50%. So the applications or the customers, those who are there on our platform as of today, we have seen results about 58% faster web enhancement, right? Irrespective of static and dynamic content that would be present, that is actually helping us. In terms of 58% of web application performance, if you were accessing applications which is about 100 milliseconds delayed, we are telling we'll get you to 50 milliseconds, lesser than 50 milliseconds. That's what we are telling. 95% of a reduced attack force, one of the best threat intel as an organization that we have built over the period of time, along with the OWASP top vulnerabilities, managed security rule set that we are building, rate limitings, the flexibility to build, rate limiting and the innovation at the scale which we are doing, it is helping us reduce the risk that would be, that is present, right? And then what will actually help you to speed up the business transformation, performance increases, security increases. What else do we got to do if you bring in Cloudflare into your architecture? All the challenges technically that you were actually doing is, solved, and then you will actually speed up your transformation, put that energy into something else, doing better, and then, you got to, connect to application services faster, and then, get to the innovation phase that you want to get to, right? And then by doing all of this, we are saying, because the bread and butter is the application services of CDN, the cache and all of that comes in, we bring down the application, the operational cost for an organization by 30%. That's the number that we looked into earlier slide, right? So then, what does it mean for the CXO? We've been talking, from the entire portfolio perspective, and then this is actually meant for a CXO junction as of today, right? So who are all the people whom, it can actually connect to? What does a chief people officer looks at, right? So they want to actually being able to, hire the resources pretty faster. That's when our access comes in, train them, get them connected, and then let's just start going ahead with the, hiring a new hires, getting the talent. As of today, you get it, but then, because of the infra sprawl that you might have, you might not be able to, so for the CPO, that is what exactly is needed. And then for a CFO, they want to reduce the cost. How do they reduce the cost? Bring that application stack that you have from tens of vendors to one vendor that will help you solve all the problems that you have in hand. And that's exactly what CFO would be actually looking at. What does it mean for a CTO? Once you build this, solve that multiple technology problem, into this, you're reducing the infrastructure costs that you're doing, and then technically you will be able to put that energy and this thing into the innovation that you got to do, right? And then for a CISO, what is actually important? Reduce the risk, faster response time, and then because you have visibility into everything in one dashboard, securing everything at one place, we have solved the problem for a CISOs as well, right? And what does it mean for a marketing officer? Yeah, fearlessly build and deliver fast apps, right? So they want to go faster, be innovative, they want to promote themselves faster, all of that, right? With all of the help from CPO, CFO, CAO, all of them help each other to build, get into the opportunity faster and faster, acquire the customer base that they would want to get to, right? So all this together is what we are telling for a CXO, for a return on investment that you got to do with Cloudflare. This is what you're getting. And okay, so this is it, right? So this is what I clearly wanted to show. So I'll quickly take you through 1 and 2 domains. So because we've been talking about easy interface and all of that, I'll quickly show a demo in terms of, API security as one of the piece, because I think pretty much, WAF, bot management, all of them becomes a part of the application services. But then nowadays the industry is sort of moving towards the direction more and more towards APIs, IoT devices, and all of that are coming in, right? It's no more a web context that we were talking about. So what are we talking in terms of an API security as a solution itself, right? So in the API security, we are giving a visibility of an API as an organizations that you have, and then we are monitoring the APIs that you, as an organizations that you have. And the third thing is we are able to actually put a certain rules and limitations to the APIs that you have, so you can secure the APIs that you have as an, endpoint for an application that you are running as of today, right? So for an API, what becomes the predominant, part of it? How do Cloudflare as an organization identify your API, right? So we call this as in session identifiers, where we got to actually do a quick identifier things. Basically, this is like an how do authorization of an API happens, right? It could be for some people, it could be from cookie, auth as an header, or some people it is authorization header, access key, access gateway, all of different parameters. Basically, we are trying to tell, in terms of that, right? So basically you define the identifier for us to know how do we as an Cloudflare being in the proxy in between will identify those, right? So by doing that setting, we will start monitoring or discovering the API for an organizations that we might have. So this is a demo domain that I have kind of has been put together to kind of show you around how a API thing will kind of look like, right? So there I put the session identifier. How do I identify an API? And then discovery is something that will list all the APIs as an organization that you have. And then you kind of have to work with the applications team to identify an API and things like that. And we kind of start giving a status saying that, okay, these are the APIs that we are seeing and we want you to review it, right? And this is from our machine learning that is built in. We are kind of giving a source from that data point, right? So once you kind of put it into a save mode, that starts becoming a part of endpoint management for us, right? So once you put that into an endpoint management, we kind of start looking in detail what is happening with that API, right? And then this is where the detailed analysis for the API start coming in. And then we start giving out certain scores that are associated in terms of the recommendation that we have for all of this and all of that, right? So we start giving a confidence score from a 92 to 50% and all of that. So let's take an example of P91. What does it mean, right? For the 90% of the requests that are there for a sequence of the requests, for last 10 minutes, less than one request is what we have kind of seen for the 90% of the requests. So this kind of an analytics is actually helping us get into, build the rules accordingly to rate limited the rules accordingly for an organizations, right? And then it also over the period of time helps you look at the analytics from 24 hours to 7 days to faster data, and how has been the response sizes, what has been the latency that is around with that, right? So this is something that you could do with an API endpoint that you have in hand, right? So then along with the endpoint, so this is something that is identified based on a session identifier that you have defined, right? But then there are endpoints which is probably does not have a session identifier, but then you want to add an endpoint, you do have an option to add an endpoint to it and start monitoring the request and data points for that as well, right? Addition to that, for API, what becomes an important segment, right? Schema, the way the API signatures has been defined, right? We for the application people, they will be able to relate more towards that angle to say, right? So schema becomes for an for like the way web for HTTP request becomes an important aspect, for an API validating that schema becomes such an important aspect. So what are we telling? We identified, we monitored in an endpoint, but then if these are the schemas that we are actually looking at, and then if you want to add any specific validation for the schemas for an API, you do have a custom validation options that is there in the dashboard also, right? And one another important aspect, which is my favorite thing, which I'll probably help you understand, is a sequence. Why is the sequence becomes an important, right? I'll quickly take a quick example, right? So whenever I'm trying to probably make a bank transaction, what are the steps I do? I log in to the banking portal, I go look at the payee that is added, and then go look at the, transfer option, then put in the amount, then click on submit, right? So there is a sequence of events that I'm doing. So because the sequence is such an important aspect, so what if I am trying to directly go and, transfer something by not following the sequence? And that is exactly what the correlation score will help us to. Has the sequence been followed the way it was supposed to be followed? So basically, if you see some transaction just happening without following any of the sequence that has been defined in it, so that's not right? So that is how the sequence in the events, the way it would be happening, becomes a very important aspect for us to look at, right? So for these are some of the things that we could do with API Shield. We do support JWT validations, GraphQL, all of this has been built. And then addition to that, mutual TLS, where client and server both have a handshake in terms of, to have a conversations amongst themselves. It's just not from a server client identifying, but also client server identifying. I'm talking to the right client. That is part of a handshake that we are telling. And after this, we kind of tie it back to, building a rules for WAP based on analysis that we got to do. You can go ahead and create a rule, which will become a rule in our WAF engine itself, looking at all the parameters that are in there, and then you can probably take a rate limiting action, take a specific action that would be needed for that specific API thing that you are looking at, right? So if I look at it, right, all you got to do is put that data point in there, and then, we start building that monitor analytics, help you take those decisions. Sequencing will help, building that traction. And then further to that, you can tie it back to our rule sets also, right? This is one thing that I kind of wanted to show in terms of, and then one other important thing is all the products of Cloudflare that we spoke about, from application services to WAF, load balancing, bot management, API security, from Magic One to, securing those aspects of the segments, to a zero trust from an employee security, and all of that is present in this single dashboard itself, right? So one of the things that we as an organizations have taken an initiative, how can we, because setting up a demo and getting to a dashboard, everything becomes simpler. What if a customer wants to come and just take a look at how does Cloudflare, dashboard look like? I want to experience, right? We all want to experience something. Yes, me coming and talking about this is how Cloudflare is, I am able to talk about it so confidently and so passionately, is because I have been experiencing it, right? How will you be able to actually, be so confident about Cloudflare when you actually, experience it, right? And one of the initiative for experiencing Cloudflare we have taken as an organization is something called demo platform, right? So this demo platform, when a customer comes to us and says that I want to get access to a dashboard, and then these are the products that I'm probably looking at, exploring from a dashboard, even before I kind of get into a POC phase or buying something on all of that, there are certain validation steps and all of that has to go through. But then if you come to a stage where you want to get an access to a demo portal, then we have it for you guys, right? So once you work with internal Cloudflare employees, they give you access to the demo portal, this is how it looks like. So what happens as a part of it, right? So this is something that I'm going to show it for application services. Do I have like another 3-4 minutes so that I just kind of go through and wrap it up, Iqbal?
Sure, you can, Deepali.
Yes. Okay, cool. Thank you. So yeah, so what does this actually help us do? So once the demo portal is provisioned for a customer, is, it gets a domain added for themselves. Everything starts with a domain for us, right? And we actually have an application, sample applications that is hosted. So guys, so I have just enabled it an hour back, as in for this, just for this demo purpose, and it is just got provisioned with all the possible capabilities of application services per se, right? And then you could actually, get into the dashboard. We can add you to that dashboard and you can start experiencing sorry, I think I copy pasted the wrong thing. So yeah, you could actually copy the domain and then, start accessing. think I have not copied it right. Yeah, so we have an HTTP bin org applications that is hosted on this, and then we have all the Cloudflare backend products that would be needed for it. So we have given you a domain, we have given you an applications, and then you start building the rules you would want to do it for any of the security angles and all of that, right? So this demo portal just not helps you access an application, but then also gives you visibility on an experience of how our dashboard shows. I told you sometime back only I started it, right? So there are continuous requests that we are piling up in terms of traffic visibility that you got to have, in terms of where all the requests are coming in from, and all of that, right? Whenever an application gets onboarded, right? All the visibility in terms of an analytics, you could make a changes to the configurations that are in there, and all that can be done, right? So this is something that from a security angle also, because this was enabled for application services, you kind of get WAF as a part of it, right? You get a visibility to the dashboard in terms of all the analytics that you are trying to look at from a top thing, and then how much traffic served brought out Cloudflare, what is served from origin per se, all that analytics, including the sample logs in the dashboard, right? And also the other analytical platform you will help you get to exploring that and all of it, and then this gives you a boost or confidence in terms of, okay, this is what Cloudflare is, something when they are telling all of it, this is what they are talking about, right? So this is the demo portal that we kind of wanted to get to. With that, I'll stop and give it a pause if there are any further questions and answer for that. Thank you. Iqbal, back to you.
Thank you, Deepali. That was a great session and demo. I would now like to request audience, if you have any doubts or queries, you can definitely put up in the chat box. I guess Mr. Swapnil Patil, he is asking you, can you explain how Cloudflare handles encryption and data protection for data transmitted via the APIs?
Yes. So the threat intel becomes a very important aspect for us when the data starts flowing in. And that is where we are talking about MTLS as a segment comes in, right? So everything happens at an HTTP. Everything starts with the DNS, TCP, and then comes to an HTTP, right? And whenever we are talking about API also, we are also talking about HTTPS as a mutual thing, right? And then building that mutual TLS connection between the client and the server, that becomes a very important aspect, right? So what happens without a mutual TLS? So client is trying to validate whether am I talking to the right server, and that's exactly what happens in an SSL handshake, and he validates, and then they actually agree on a certain cipher, certain level of an encryption, and start communication. That is why we say HTTPS is secure. The other aspect that happens in a mutual TLS as a handshake is, while HTTP takes care of client validating the server, in the mutual TLS, server also validate whether client has the certificate, and then both of them exchanging those certificates, exchanging those keys, and then starting communicating on a certain terms and conditions with the way they want to exchange, right? So when that happens, data in motion absolutely gets secured, right? So other thing that I kind of probably missed and mentioning in API security is, we look at API security as building a positive security model. We don't look at saying we allow everything and then we start blocking. For example, I have as an organization, all my requests have to come only from India, right? So I know, so then organization, what they generally tend to do it, okay, I'll block China, I'll block Pakistan, or I'll block some other geos and all of that, right? That's something that we call it as a negative security model. What is that I want to block? But then would it help the organizations if I build a positive security model, which means I will allow only India, everything else I start blocking? That's exactly what we are trying to do by allowing an endpoint in the API to be monitored, and then taking an action and then doing it, right? So yeah, so mutual TLS helps us making sure that handshake between the client in both the way SSL builds that connection, and terms and conditions help. I hope that answered.
Okay, Deepali, thanks for answering that question. I have Mr. Deval Mazmudar who is asking, how about APIs consumed by partners over private network? Would we need a separate solution to manage and protect those, or Cloudflare has a on-prem extension too?
No, so, okay, so for an API shield per se, all we are expecting it to be a public, right? It doesn't matter whether you have it on-prem, it doesn't matter where you have it on a cloud or any other environment per se. All we are saying, it should be accessible for us publicly, so we can start discovering your APIs, right? So yeah, if you have it publicly, we should be able to, build a API security for you by an API shield.
Okay, so we'll be covering the last question which Pawan Yadav has asked. Can we analyze traffic for all protocol? It's analyzed.
When you say a protocol, is that for an HTTPS, TLS 1.2, 1.3, 1.3 protocols are we talking about, or HTTP and HTTPS traffic that we are talking about, right? Okay, but then if it is about HTTP and HTTPS, 90 to more than 90% of the properties or the domains that we have on Cloudflare is on HTTPS, right? Because as in gone are those days where there was just HTTP. We still have a visibility into the traffic that is coming into us, but then our recommendation, because we want to, we are a security driven organization, right? We emphasize on being ourselves secure, right? While we emphasize that, yes, all the visibility, irrespective of what protocol is it, all of that becomes a part of, visibility of the analytics that you would be looking at.
Okay, so Deepali, I have one more last question for you from my side. I would like to ask you that, is API Shield a replacement of API Gateway?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question actually, right? So API Shield is exactly not a replacement for API Gateway, what other vendors are actually doing in the industry. If you're comparing with API Gateway of other organization, that's not that. But then does not mean that we can't actually do API Gateway functionality with our API Shield. We can actually achieve the goal of API Gateway along with our API Shield, CDN, which is in there, and then the load balancing feature of it all together, we can actually make it an API gateway as a complete bundle solution for that, right?
Okay, thanks Deepali for all your inputs and for answering all the questions. That was really great session. Now we'll be moving forward with the fireside chat, and I would now like to call our two speakers of fireside chat, which is Mohinee Singh and Ayush Verma, to take it forward.
Thank you.
Thanks, Deepali. Hey everyone, good morning.
Mohinee, you are not audible. I think you are on mute.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
We can hear you now.
Okay. Thank you so much, Deepali, for this amazing session. And hi, Ayush. Thank you for joining this meeting. So starting with the fireside chat, I have some questions for you. Before that, can we please stop sharing our screen? Okay. So my first question to you is, Ayush, we have heard about the increasing cyber threats and skills gap. So can you share some specific examples of how Cloudflare solutions have helped organizations mitigate this risk?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great question, Mohinee. Thanks for putting it forward. So that's an unfortunate reality of today's world, right? That the cyber risks that exist today, that is just getting more and more complicated. We have, as a vendor, we have existed in cybersecurity space for more than a decade now, and we have been seeing increasing risk every year, every quarter as we grow further. In fact, very recently we saw quite a significant risk that was recently detected by Cloudflare. We as a vendor, we actually found out that there was an exploit in the wild against HTTP2 protocol particularly. And what happened was we realized that HTTP2 protocol had a specific vulnerability there, which could be exploited to just target them for the applications using HTTP2 were becoming a target for DDoS attacks. And these DDoS attacks were actually, so easy to execute that it could be growing in, multifold. So what we saw was that DDoS attacks were actually roughly about 200 million requests per second. This is more than 3 to 4 times of the highest of the DDoS attacks that we have seen in the past. So this is how significantly it has been increasing. Now, as a vendor, we did a responsible disclosure of the vulnerability. So very recently, if you follow Cloudflare news, in fact, we worked together with AWS and GCP to disclose this vulnerability. It's called HTTP2 Rapid Reset in a more popular context. Of course, there's a CVE as well. Now, one of the things that we did as the first thing was we went and patched it across our platform, right? So this is how we kind of mitigated. And to Deepali's presentation earlier, she was sharing that 20% of web traffic flows through Cloudflare today or through our platform. So the entire 20% of that traffic got patched within a few hours that we took the time to actually patch our systems. And that was amazing. As an outcome, majority of web is protected. We also did the disclosure, which helped the other vendors to do the patching as well, with the likes of AWS and GCP, and the rest of them followed suit, right? So there are 2 principles on which we operate in this front: simplification and consolidation. Simplification because we believe that as a vendor, it is our responsibility to make cybersecurity less complex for our users, for our customers. And that is something that we have been striving really hard to build. You might know that, or you might acknowledge the fact that, simplicity is the most complex to achieve. And this is something that we are actually driving towards, striving every day to build that and achieve that for our customers. The other aspect is consolidation, where we are trying our best to make sure that it is very easy for our customers to achieve the respective solutions just out of the single platform that we have built for them, get everything and anything that they require, instead of going around and trying to find multiple point solutions. So this is where I would say Cloudflare is helping organizations to mitigate these risks and increased threats that are going out there in the open.
Amazing, Ayush. So, can you also discuss about the real world use cases where you have actually helped organizations consolidate and modernize their infrastructure while enhancing the security?
Absolutely, and that's following on from my previous explanation about simplicity and consolidation. So the way we have been building our solutions at Cloudflare is very solution focused, right? So we are trying to solve specific problems, which is an industry-wide problem. And Deepali had touched upon some of those aspects as well earlier. So talking about solutions around protecting against cyber risk, or mitigating cyber risks is a very high level terminology, but this is one place where we are building solutions around it to make sure that there are solutions available for anything that is evolving. Like, for example, if I talk about the most recent evolution today, we are all being bombarded with generative AI and predictive AI technologies out there. So cyber risk actually comes along with that, right? So what happens is that a lot of users who go on these applications, submitting data on ChatGPT to get some output, they are subjected to huge risks, right? So Cloudflare, being a focal point, a lot of these generative AI technologies sitting behind Cloudflare to achieve protection, we started to offer these protections to our customers as well, from being able to prevent users from uploading data, unauthorized, or doing things which are anything to do with malicious activities across these applications. So that's making sure that we are reducing cyber risk all across. There was another huge surge in increase of the remote workforce that happened with COVID, and it has just continued. It has not subsided, right? Like from remote workforce, we went into even more complex mode of operating, which is called hybrid workforce. Now, it became even more difficult to tackle both aspects of the problem. So we started building solutions around it. We came up with many different technologies that are out there, but it is all being presented in a very consolidated fashion that we call as Cloudflare One umbrella, and that's another one. And there are a couple of others, like making sure that if a customer is interested in reducing cyber expense or reducing cost, that's something that we help to build applications around it. Managing multi-cloud solutions, having a uniform level of security across these cloud solutions, that's where we play a key pivotal role. And these are the prime use cases that we are solving for the world today.
Amazing on this, Ayush. And what are your thoughts about zero trust? Like, how does Cloudflare approach to zero trust security work? And what are the benefits it actually offers to the businesses?
Yep. So zero trust is not really a new terminology anymore, even though it has been in the buzz for the longest of the time. So I have myself started at Cloudflare about 5 years ago, and that's where Cloudflare first embarked on its own zero trust journey. At 5 years ago, we were having very basic products in place where we started protecting private applications and applications which were being hosted for individual users that belong to that organization and not for the public. So I have seen zero trust evolving from that angle to becoming something which is entirely protecting all aspects of an enterprise network. So be it users, be it private applications. I've seen Cloudflare building products to cover all these aspects. In fact, in order for us, and since your question is what is our approach towards zero trust? So first of all, it is very important for us to be able to trust our own products. So what Cloudflare has done is we have, gotten rid of all the other products that we were using in the past. Over the last 3 years, we have been using our own zero trust solutions, and we have been building based on the demands that Cloudflare has on its own, right? So what we have done is today we are present across more than 20 branch offices across the globe. So that's where our zero trust solutions are deployed. There are more than 3,500 employees that work at Cloudflare today, globally, operating remotely or operating out of our branch offices. They are all being protected by our own zero trust platform, right? So this is how we have been evolving and making sure that we build for ourselves and we do the best for ourselves as a cybersecurity vendor. And that's what we present to our customers and partners as well.
Okay. So following that question, Ayush, could you elaborate on how you provide everywhere security for a distributed workforce and infrastructure, and why it is essential in today's environment?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would again go back to what Deepali had presented earlier. She touched upon a topic called connectivity cloud. And that's something that we are evolving towards. So when we say everywhere security, that terminology is basically defining wherever you go, whatever you do, you need to stay secure. And Cloudflare is providing a way to achieve that to our customers and our partners, right? So how we have been doing that is by building this technology called Connectivity Cloud. And basically what we have been doing by building Connectivity Cloud is simplifying anybody and anyone's access to Cloudflare. That is one. So be it your private applications, be it your branch offices, anything that you would like to connect or to our platform, that is super simple to achieve because we support any kind of connectivity. So that's why this feature is called Connectivity Cloud that we are trying to build in. Once you have connected anything to Cloudflare, we provide you with the access to our in-house intelligence that we have. And that comes from us hosting 20% of web traffic that is flowing through Cloudflare, first of all, right? We subscribe to multiple third-party threat services, threat feeds, where we actually feed this all of these into our systems. and provide built-in intelligence to whoever is using the platform. And last but not the least, we are also making sure that everything that you do is provided in a unified dashboard that is available. So, earlier that the platform that Deepali was showcasing on her screen was basically Cloudflare's dashboard, where you will see all the aspects of it being managed in a centralized location in a very simple to use format. And that is something that we have been trying to achieve over the last decade that we have been existing as a cybersecurity vendor. So that is what we mean by everywhere security. And our approach to solving it is by building a connectivity cloud that is available for anybody and everybody out there.
And which is simple for everyone, and the consolidation.
Yes, absolutely.
Last but not the least, Ayush, I would like to know from you, amid economic uncertainty, different C-suite executives have distinct priorities. So how does your platform cater to the needs of various C-level roles, from CMOs to CFOs?
Yes, definitely. So I would go back to one of the answers that I gave earlier, that what we have been doing as a vendor is we have not been building individual features or individual products. What we are trying to do is we are building solutions, and these solutions are built to cater to the specific needs of our customers in various different forms, right? So when you mention about CMO or CFO, or be it CISO, CTO, anybody at the C level, they have their specific problems that they want to solve, and that's what we are trying to achieve by building the solutions around them. So if we just talk about our chief marketing officer as someone who's trying to use Cloudflare to solve their problems, their problems are the biggest problem that they would face as a marketing organization is agility, to be able to quickly roll out something out there without going through the hassle of procuring and deploying massive solutions at their place before they are able to deploy something in terms of public facing content. What we have been doing is we have built solutions around someone to be able to quickly roll out content on the public internet, and we have a developer platform that Cloudflare provides to our customers, which is called Pages, Cloudflare Workers, and these are some of the specific features I'm talking about. But what it helps the chief marketing officer to achieve is really quick flexibility on rolling things out without any kind of dependency. Now, in case I'm talking about our chief financial officer, we are basically looking at cost. Deepali's slide talked about how we are helping to consolidate various different point solutions into one single consolidated solution. That significantly helps to reduce cost, not just from a product perspective. We are moving from individual point solution to one platform, which is simplified, right? So when we are achieving that, what it is helping you to do is to basically reduce the number of people that you would need to deploy across various different solutions. One person can do multiple things at the same time, and that improves the productivity, right? So that is one big aspect, big win for our chief financial officer. The other big win would be where we are helping to reduce the number of solutions they have to manage. So imagine how many number of contracts you have to go through if you procure all different solutions. Each of these different solutions, they have their own modules, they have their own requirement to grow and whatnot. So these contracts will keep revising, and you need to maintain all of these. In fact, I have seen examples of customers who have had like 50 over contracts just to provide cybersecurity coverage for their organizations. I'm talking about the larger ones, and they go really, really granular, right? So this is where Cloudflare really helps to achieve a possible solution to cover all the CXOs, basically.
Amazing, Ayush. Thank you for such wonderful insights from you. It was great having a presentation and demo, and I think we have covered it all. And amazing, and thank you for this insightful knowledge. So with this, I think people, all the audience in the chat is also, have got good, have given good feedback that the session was very detailed and great session, good learning. So with this, I would like to move to the next and the last part of the session. I would like to hand over the stage to Iqbal, as we have 2 minutes to go. If we can run on the Wheel of Fortunes and all the contests. Thank you.
Thanks, Mohinee. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Mohinee. Thanks, Ayush. It was really a great fireside chat, and it was
Thank you.
definitely well worth of the time for all the audience.